To the Board of Trustees, I want to thank you for this great honor. And my thanks to President Pastides for your words today, but for your leadership of this amazing university. In particular, for your initiatives with respect to innovation, entrepreneurship, research and development, and most recently, cybersecurity. Along with the visionary policies and investments at the state level, the work of this university is making South Carolina a promising place in which to invest, build, and to grow. At Boeing, we've seen this firsthand. We decided to open a new airplane factory in North Charleston. And I'll tell you, nearly 7 years later, I never get tired of making that final descent into Charleston International Airport, where one can see brand new Boeing 787s on one side of the tarmac, and on the other side, Air National Guard C-17 cargo planes made by Boeing, parked in military precision on the other. Having said that, when President Pastides called me a few months ago and asked me to be your commencement speaker this morning, I confess my first thoughts were, are you sure you have the right phone number? My second thought wasn't better. I thought, are you sure you have the right Tim Keating? After all, when you look at the roster of baccalaureate speakers and honorary degrees, they're former presidents, vice presidents, senators, governors, captains of industries, and others of natural stature. So when I say I'm humbled to be here today, that's not a throwaway line. I truly am humbled to be here today. Now, before I get started, I want to acknowledge the proud parents and guardians. I suspect a few of you wondered if this day would ever come. Well, it's here. And it's here in large part because of your steadfast support and your sacrifice. And I want to acknowledge that up front. I also want to say a few words to the ROTC graduates here this morning. As the head of Boeing Government Operations Division, I'm privileged to have 35 veterans on my team. They range from retired generals and admirals to a former Army captain who was grievously wounded in Afghanistan. This out of a total of more than 21,000 veterans who are Boeing employees. They are men and women who reinforce the life and death importance of our products that we make and we support each day. And to all the new officers being commissioned, thank you. Thank you for your willingness to serve at such a consequential and perilous time. And when it comes time to hang up those uniforms and move on to the next phase of your professional life, please don't hesitate to come knocking on our door. Now to everyone else in the class of 2016, congratulations, you've made it. You're here. And as proud as you are of your accomplishments today, and rightfully so, these occasions are about the future. They're about personal and professional journeys that begin tomorrow or shortly after. For those of you who are interested in reaching for the stars, and at Boeing, that literally means reaching for the stars. Our company could also be a place for you. But whatever career you choose, I'd like to share some experiences and insights that have helped me along the way. And why my journey was long and winding, I can promise you this morning that my remarks will not be long or winding. After more than 3 decades in Washington, D.C., and especially after partisan gridlock of recent years, it'd be easy to get cynical and downcast about the future. But I still hold the old-fashioned view that anyone can succeed and live the American dream. I'll bet they with a lot of hard work and some good luck, and by sticking to a few basics, but not necessarily easy principles to live and work by. I believe that, because I lived it. My father was a construction worker, my mother a secretary. Together they managed to raise 6 children in a modest home. What that means was there was not a lot of disposable income. We all worked jobs in various places: the grocery store, the church rectory, Sears, pumping gas, or even paper routes. We were taught responsibility, we were taught respect, and most importantly, it was ingrained in us to work hard and to never let down those people who've given you a chance, no matter what the job or what the task. After graduating from college, I arrived in Washington, D.C. I basically knew no one, and like so many before me, I peddled my resume door to door. 2 opportunities developed. One was in the mailroom. The other was doing legislative correspondence for a member of Congress from Pennsylvania. So one job involved writing letters, the other job involved carrying letters. I chose the mailroom. You did hear that right. It allowed me to arrive every morning to the Capitol at 4 a.m. I'd sort mail, and while that was not what I had in mind when I applied to college, it allowed me to understand how Congress really worked from the inside out. I got to know the people that worked there, the police, the secretaries, the support staff, those people that made that place work, who could later help me and always keep me out of trouble. There was one other advantage. Starting early in the mailroom allowed me to finish early in the afternoon, which in turn allowed me to spend the rest of the days volunteering for House leadership offices. I answered phones, I gave tours, I opened mail. I generally did whatever was needed. For example, I was once told to drive a donated limousine from Detroit to Washington, D.C. It was a more than 1,000-mile trip, and this thing was a beast. The gas mileage was so low, I had to stop just about every hour. Now, you can just imagine the scene of these truck stops when this huge black limo pulled up and this 20-something jumped out in shorts and flip-flops to fill it out. It really could have been in a movie. But better offers soon followed, leading eventually to work for the Speaker and later the President of the United States. But it all stemmed from that initial decision to take a job that necessarily wasn't the most prestigious in the world, yet it was one that offered me opportunity to learn both the job and elsewhere. Another important thing that I've learned over the years has to do with integrity. It's often invoked, not often well understood, and sometimes just not followed. After leaving the White House, and I'm not really going to talk publicly about that in this setting, I found that most companies that were knocking at my door had managed to get themselves into trouble for one reason or another. While I can give advice, I can raise money, I can put a strategy together, I can talk through difficult issues, the one thing that I will never be able to do is to repair my name or the name of the company that I represent if you do something wrong. And I will tell you that at some point, in probably not the distant future, each of you is going to face a challenge, a test, something that teeters on the edge of what is appropriate or not. It may be legal, it may be something you could be allowed, it could be something you could get away with. But I tell you now, have the confidence, have the courage, and have the conviction to say no and always do the right thing. Remember, you have to face the harshest critic each morning when you look in the mirror. Finally, is one wish as you start your professional life is a personal hope from me. It's that each of you find love or the right person to share your life with. I was lucky. I found the love of my life when I was 18 years old, And 36 years later, she is still that love. 29 years later, she is still my bride. Together, we've faced many challenges. We've laughed, we've cried, and we've done everything in between. But the one thing I know for sure is that we've made each other better. And I'm certain that I am successful because of her support, her strength, her friendship, and her love. What we have is a partnership. And like any partnership, whether in business, politics, or personal, it will only succeed with trust, lots of hard work, and a willingness to learn from one another. In closing, you have every reason to expect great professional success. In fact, I think you should demand it of yourselves. But never forget that when you do end up on the proverbial third base in life, it's probably not because you hit a triple. Lots of people who have helped you along the way, the people that love you, the people that have raised you, the people that have taught you, many of them are sitting in this room with you today. And there'll be more to come in the future. And then there will be a time when it's your turn to do the same for others. And remember to give back. One final story before I turn the microphone over. Last Saturday, a week ago, the President of the United States addressed his 8th and final Correspondents' Dinner. Now, the Correspondents' Dinner is this big Washington, D.C. event where Hollywood and Washington, D.C. meet and honor the media. And it's a long night. The president was absolutely amazing, very funny, on point. But he talked about the past 8 years. But his foreword at the end was about the future. And the President of the United States said to the crowd, "I have but 2 final words for you. Obama out." And he did a mic drop. Now, I'm not cool enough to do a mic drop. And I just couldn't get away with it, especially looking like a character from Harry Potter. But I do have 2 final words about the future. Go Cox.